not just ChatGPT, but Claude, right? Claude had access to Canva. So now I could use Canva through Claude versus going to Canva. That could be useful. I mean, I have Claude produce Word docs for me and don't go to Word to do it. I just do it inside of Canva, and then I read the doc to do whatever it is I need to do with it. I don't think that's wrong. I mean, I think that is going to be more convenient. I think Leonard's right. It is much more convenient that way. Now, what's the iPhone for each business? That's another question.
Growing a business requires a holistic approach that extends beyond sales and marketing. This approach needs alignment among people, processes, and technologies. So if you're a business owner, operations, or finance leader looking to learn growth strategies from your peers and competitors, you're tuned into the right podcast. Welcome to the WBS Podcast, where scalable growth using business systems is our #1 priority. Now, here is your host, Sam Gupta.
Hello everyone, happy Friday, and this is another episode of Analysts Gone Wild. And today we don't have Robert, so I'll be hosting the show. We have awesome crew here with different background, different coverage areas. So we are going to have a lot of fun discussing different stories. We will start with everybody's intros. Sam Gupta here, principal at Elevate IQ. Elevate IQ is the independent vendor-agnostic technology advisory firm. On that note, Michael, do you want to go next?
Sure. Michael Fawcett, founder, CEO of Arian Research, host of Disambiguation podcast, and all-around nice guy.
Yeah, you are. Thank you so much for being here, Michael.
Thanks.
Charles.
Yeah, thank you, Sam. Name's Charles Brennan. Work with Nucleus Research, global provider of technology research and advisory services that focuses on return on investment. I specialize in the beautiful world of supply chain, ERP, and all that kind of falls in between that. So, yeah, really happy to be here today. Got a lot of great topics, and yeah, hope all's well.
Love it. Always love partnering with you, Charles. Thank you so much for being
Likewise.
here. Brian?
Hey, I'm in Toronto, just like Sam. It's always good to be in the same city as your host. I think it should get me some favoritism, right, Sam?
Yes. And we should probably discuss Blue Jays, I guess. Well, I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
You'll get, different stories today.
Yeah, we'll have the latest out of spring training, no doubt. And for myself, I'm at Infotech Research Group, where I focus on emerging technologies and CIO priorities.
Yeah, so today Infotech is going to get 50% discount on Analysts Gone Wild.
All right. Who says I don't provide value?
All right, guys. So let's dig in, I guess. We have the first story, which is coming from Salesforce. And this is a very exciting story on CIO.com. Generally, we get the stories in media that are sort of the vendor narrative. In this particular case, I guess this is very CIO focused and, what CIOs think. And I think Brian is probably going to love this. So here, and I don't know if you talk to some analysts in the analyst community, they have been extremely passionate about the whole value-driven pricing. Sometimes what is that called? Consumption-based pricing as well, right? I think Thomas is super passionate about that. Robert talks about that as well. So this is slightly different. I don't know if this is a twist completely on the consumption-based pricing or the agentic pricing, but overall, it seems like from the CIO perspective, they are not going to get the real operational value the way algorithm is structured. I don't know if there is going to be a better algorithm. So those are my thoughts. You guys want to start? Michael, obviously you're not agreeing. Sure. I can see it, man.
Well, I mean, as you know, I
love it.
Worked with Salesforce a lot. So, but no, it's interesting because obviously this, SaaS-apocalypse world that we've been in the last few months, there is a lot of pressure on seat pricing. Certainly more and more you're going to see, some kind of metrics-based pricing that's still a little bit up in the air. I mean, we've had tokens and units and blah, blah, and then you've got a few vendors that have tried to move towards something that is, more based on outcome versus, like token consumption is a tough one because you could have an agent consume a whole lot of tokens and not do anything that was of any value whatsoever, right? So that's always been a little bit of an issue. You've got some of the vendors like Zendesk, Intercom, that have tried to move towards an outcome based pricing that says, if we resolve the issue, then you pay X amount or whatever. That makes some sense to me. Value based pricing, I'm not a fan of that concept. And we've talked about this for years. I've tried it at how many different startups and places I worked before.
Yeah.
Never worked because of the issue of how do you establish value and how do you continue to establish value in a transparent way so that I can charge you what you actually need to be charged and you feel comfortable that I did that. So I don't think that's good. But anyway, in this AWU kind of thing, the problem here, I mean, it is an interesting metric, maybe from an investor perspective, but from an actual business execution outcome standpoint, I don't get it. It doesn't talk about that at all, right? It does talk about what you're doing. It just doesn't talk about that what you did was useful. And I think that's the conversation we need to have, not the AWU one. So.
Yeah, from my perspective, right, I think what this is almost like a meter on the side of your product. You have, the tokens really show you how much fuel you burn. This is really supposed to tell you AWU is how many jobs actually get done. And to your point, Michael, it's not really, pricing or providing that same outlook if it's, the value or, results you get from these agents. It's more of just counting the work that is done. So I think that is interesting. I think that's a better way to have conversations with your customers. But I think at the end of the day, I think there needs to be more dialed in on the actual results you get from these agents, right? Because they can do, 10,000 units of work, right? Which is great, but is that necessarily doing anything for your business at the end of the day? I think that needs to be ironed out, but
it's like paying a carpenter for swinging a hammer. How many times you swing the hammer? Cool.
It's
happy to know, but did you actually build the wall?
Well, at the end of the day, right? You want to get the job done. You want to get it done correctly. So it's interesting. I like this. It's going to provide more better conversations with customers, but I think at the end of the day, it needs to be ironed out a bit more. And just very curious on other people's thoughts.
I think this is exactly what IT needed, guys. Another acronym and another throughput metric to help communicate the value of IT and what we're accomplishing to leadership. It's perfect. But seriously, we have to consider the metrics and the audience that we're using our metrics with, right? So this, the CIO.com approach here is like, hey, is this AWU metric appropriate for the boardroom? And I agree that it's not, right? Because the boardroom wants to know about outcomes, not about throughput. And looking into this unit, it's trying to have some sort of conversion of not just consumption, but like what is the consumption compared to the amount of work that's being done, which could include things like just calling a tool, right? Which might not lead to actually any productivity. It's just something that happened. So that's not very valuable to the boardroom. But if you're looking at a team that is building agentic AI and they have some sort of faith or general understanding of what their tool does and how they've architected it, right? And if they have faith that the work that they are completing is most of the time valuable, maybe this metric is useful to them and more useful than consumption. So I don't know if that's the case yet, right? Because there is a little bit of caginess here. Not all the details are available about how the work units are measured, but it's possible that it's more valuable than just a consumption metric because there is this idea that it's about efficiency, right? So if we're looking to drive value and efficiency in our agentic consumption and operation, then yes, maybe we want to think about work units and trying to improve our AWU over time, because then we can say, okay, we're bringing down the cost of the work that we're doing over time, and that is valuable to know. But yes, I wouldn't bring this to a boardroom presentation.
Well, and I mean, honestly, think about that from an agent perspective. We've talked about this for a while. Agents should be goal-based, right? We set a goal. They should work against the goal and accomplish a thing. That makes sense to me. That's how I manage human employees. Digital employees, okay, that makes sense too. But in the end, I'm not going to count the number of keystrokes. I'm going to count the output. I That is in fact from a work management perspective. I care about accomplishing a thing, not working really hard and not doing anything.
Right.
Yeah, and that's what I guess, Michael. When you look at this from the customer's perspective, and this would be more of the horizontal application, I guess. I mean, even though you might call this vertical, but each context is going to be different. Each industry is going to have very different, KPIs that they want to measure.
Yeah.
If you define goals, then I don't know how useful that is going to be across the context, across the industries. Every customer is different. And that's where my disconnect is, that you can never define value for the customer, because the value for every single customer and industry is probably going to be different. So you can only count for swings, I guess. I mean, that's the analogy that you had mentioned. In the physical world, at least you can see that the wall is getting built. In the virtual world, when you are dealing with software, it's very hard to measure that, because there is no real wall. Every wall is different for every single customer and context. So that's where my problem always was with any sort of consumption-based pricing, value-based pricing, that you can never have that goal-oriented. But you are, I guess, differentiating between value versus outcome. Outcome, in my mind, you can never define that for a customer.
But see, I don't agree with that, because if you, I mean, take the Zendesk example.
Yeah.
You pay $1.50 per automated resolution. That resolution is a defined thing. I resolve the customer's problem, ticket done. That in every context, there is a thing that I'm trying to do. And I mean, maybe the thing is produce XYZ report or chart or something. I mean, it depends. You're right. It's contextual. But in that context, if you're defining a goal, then there is an outcome based on that goal. And if you don't accomplish it, then I didn't do what I needed to do, no matter what the system is.
But there also, you could have instances where you sort of resolved, but it didn't actually get resolved. Right. And then you are still paying. So there could be differences in that.
Yeah.
But I can see some opportunities there, the way you are describing, at least for the customer facing use cases. You can probably mimic the similar behavior even for internal use cases as well. Sorry, Brian, go. Please.
I agree with what you're saying there, Sam. And a term we like to use is vanity metrics, right?
Yeah,
and there can be a temptation to use a vanity metric and point to it as like, okay, I did my job today, or I hit my goals in my department because my AWU was lower this week. But your stakeholders are still saying, well, we didn't actually hit our goals, or the organization's
make any more money.
goals. We swung the hammer, but it was connecting with nails on boards that I didn't want put up over that window. Actually, I wanted to be able to look out of it. So that sort of thing. So it's about enterprise architecture, right? And you do want to connect those enterprise goals to what your metrics are communicating. And the easiest way to do that, even with agentic AI, is talk about the metrics that your stakeholders care about. So if you're talking to the board, don't come and introduce a new metric that they have to learn about. Tell them about how agentic AI is lowering costs, or delivering more customer value, or helping them reach new markets, or mitigating risks.
Yeah, great points, guys. Sorry, Charles, go.
No. I think that was a great point. Is that every customer is going to leverage this in a different way. Value is going to be measured different for every company. So it's how Salesforce is going to work with those customers. This is always that stuff that Robert preaches of meeting the customer where they're at, understanding where this can be of value to them. But really, until this is separated from that useful work from busy work, it's as we talked about, more of a billing metric than a boardroom metric. So. Very interesting, but I think a few things need to be ironed out here.
Okay, perfect. So we have some comments. Let's cover those if they are going to be related to this story. So we have one from Leonard, and he's saying, with that amazing book, Michael. I think he likes your book, Michael. Probably need to have a plug for that.
Yay. Thanks, Leonard. Much appreciated.
Then Charles, good to see you. We love Infotech too. Okay, so you are getting 50% discount from Leonard as well, Brian.
Nice.
Too many discounts for one day.
Keep it coming. Yeah.
Okay, so one comment here. What is your advice for companies like the one I work at to get from FTE per employee pricing or flat rate price to value-driven pricing? And Michael, go. I mean, if you have any sort of...
I mean, I think I get the point. Value-driven pricing is a tough one to define.
Yeah.
I like the idea of metrics-driven pricing, right? Because that lets me think through whatever that outcome is I'm measuring that I can then pay based on, and it is contextual, as you said, Sam. So I value-driven, that's a tougher one because what's valuable in each context is different, and maybe that even isn't always easy to nail down. But I know that if I have an agent working in sales development rep, and I can see that book X number of meetings that lead to a positive outcome, or I increase revenue, or I increase my margins, I decrease cost in this. I do. As long as it's a measurable thing, you can, and you both agree that you can measure it, both vendor and company, then yeah, that's measurable, that's done, you can do that. Seat-based pricing is definitely under attack. I don't disagree with that, and in a agentic world it just gets very complicated. But metric-driven pricing, to me, that just makes sense. I can meter things that I could price on, then I have a way to show everybody this is what it should be, and it's transparent.
Yeah, and I talk to a lot of CFOs, right? And we get a very different perspective. And when we talk about any category of software, for that matter, even the whole IT department, I guess, their impression always is going to be that I'm paying maybe $500,000, not $500,000, yeah, $500,000 probably, or $250,000, and I don't really know what it does for me, to be completely honest. Now, define value, because I mean, it's one thing to define value, but other thing to really sell value that to your financial stakeholders. But that's the impression of the software in general. Sorry, Charles, go.
No, you bring up a great point, Sam. And I think that's a lot of issues companies get when they're building that business case, when they're evaluating the software market, is that they aren't identifying the main issues that they're trying to tackle, right? They're trying to boil that whole ocean. They're trying to, re-architecture everything. And I think it goes back to understanding what 2 to 3 issues your organization has and go from there. And that's where you'll understand the potential value you'll get from software. That's something we help companies do all the time. Build that business case, understand where you can unlock value from whatever you're deploying there. And I think when if you want to go to that value-based or metric-driven pricing, you got to understand what certain metrics are valuable to what companies. And I think that goes back to customer success and working with your customer. And everyone's going to be different. So, I think that's a big trend we're seeing, and it's a bit of an issue right now.
Yeah, great points. And you guys definitely do a great job there. Thank you so much, Charles, for that. So we have one more comment here. The main issue I see is that the vendor can build it, but will the client use it? If not, why would the vendor take that risk? And it has to be very well defined and with wording in the contract that makes the vendor partially responsible for use. I mean, it's easy to say, but I don't know how many vendors are willing to agree with that kind of contract, to be completely honest.
Yeah, but I mean, if you move to metrics pricing, that sort of does have that inherent in that definition, right? If we agree that we're going to pay based on X metric, and the vendor says they agree and the customer says they agree, then that is the metric. And if you're not using the software, you're not going to make any money because there's no metric to measure.
Yeah, and if you're not using the software, meaning, I mean, you might have some churns there, and your analogy related to swinging the hammer, and that's how, I mean, software is probably getting built, and they are going to have a lot of different sub processors underneath. So these software vendors, I mean, they have to pay to their sub vendors as well. There are like millions and millions of software underneath, and they don't get paid just because somebody did not achieve their outcome. So I like to compare this analogy with a machine. If you bought a machine, regardless of whether you are making money from machine or not, that's not machine builders' problem. Machine builders are trying to sell machines, and you are buying machine. You have to figure it out yourself. Number one, do you need machine, and how effectively you are going to use that machine?
I mean, you're arguing against the pricing measure, though, and I mean, you can, like, that's, I agree. It's a complicated one, and it's certainly a world where it's a whole lot easier for a software vendor to go pay me for X, pay me X for each person that uses the software. Yeah. I can measure that. I can see it. It makes sense. But when you get into this complicated world of agents, where agents actually, the more you scale an agent, it costs more because it uses more tokens. So I have to pay more for it. Is the outcome what I wanted? That ends up being a very difficult conversation. As you say, talk to the CFO and say, would you be willing to pay for this agent doing a thing without that thing driving an outcome. And if I'm a CFO, I'd go, no, not only no, but hell no, right? Because that doesn't accomplish anything. So I don't disagree that the metric is, agreeing on a transparent metric and being able to measure it is hard. But when the old model is not working, we got to come up with something that will.
Yeah, the way I see this is you don't often have control as the buyer over what metric or the business model that your vendor is using, right? Typically, we are need to go along with either the seat-based pricing or the consumption-based pricing that they're putting forward because we're not the only client, right? They have a business model and they have to address a large market with the same business model. There's few organizations that are large enough to say, well, we want to be charged this way. So go figure that out in your business process, please, so that we can pay you based on that metric. But what you can do is use your value-driven concepts and evidence as leverage in the conversation. If you say, yeah, you're charging me for this number of seats, but my metrics show I'm only getting this value, or like, we're not really seeing enough value for the price we're paying on consumption, right? So use that as evidence, or show them that you have alternatives to build it out yourself, right? Now that we're all vibe coding our own CRMs, and show them that maybe there's alternatives that aren't as costly to get me the value that I need out of this, and that'll give vendors motivation to do.
And the underneath of that, Brian, is that I do have 100% control as a buyer. I can buy from somebody else, or I can build it myself.
Yeah, that's your ultimate choice.
But I do. That's what I'm saying. So if you're charging me a model that I don't agree to pay on, then I will go somewhere else. That's as simple as it is. And if the seat model gets to the point where it's seen as outdated and I'm not willing to pay you for that, you can try to charge me that all you want, but I'll just go buy from your competitor who will charge me.
Well, I wouldn't want to negotiate with Michael. I can tell he's tough customer.
Tough negotiator. All right, guys, so we can move to the next story if we are done with this. So I'll start with this one. In this particular case, this is Incubeta, I guess. And they are launching a new agentic AI products to help brands understand what truly drives marketing performance. And I don't know how many different stories we have seen, very similar. Everybody's trying to drive marketing performance. Good luck in this economy driving that performance. I guarantee this. And that's where I guess, my disagreement is with respect to outcome. Regardless of what you are going to do, sometimes things are not going to work for you, right? So in this particular case, they are saying launch of new agentic AI tools, creative performance index. Fancy acronym, but I don't even know what that means. You have outperform BI. Here they are talking about making dashboard dynamic. I don't know how many times and how many different companies have tried that. Yeah. So I don't know what is so new there. But we use agentic AI to move beyond dashboard and deliver faster. Okay, so it's a big deal, I guess. CPI uses AI to analyze creative assets so I can see some value here, I guess. So when you talk about real measurement on the creative assets, there is a real deal in terms of you need to understand, which creative assets are working, and you need to have some more data around that. I think that's the whole intent of what is that called? The split testing and
A/B testing.
A/B testing. Yeah.
The category is completely different. So I'm missing the name of the category. Michael, you might know. What is that called?
Are you talking A/B testing or
something like optimizely would fit into which category? I guess.
Yeah.
There is a category name, and I'm missing that. Okay, I'll probably remember in the next 5 minutes, I guess.
This is interesting. I don't know how well it works, but the idea that I could move to more dynamic metrics that help me know if my campaigns are working, I can adjust them or cancel them and move to something else. I don't know. Marketers have been trying to do this for a while. You have more data, more real-time data, more capability to analyze that data in real time to find out if your campaign's working. It all sounds good. I haven't seen it work, but it does sound like a reasonable way to think about it.
No, it is a great tool from like you were saying, Michael. But I think the overusage of agentic is just prevalent here whatsoever. I think CPI, that performance index, is basically a pattern matching across their company's creative elements, whether that's an ad, the style it's in, the messaging it's sending, and that's really connecting it back to that performance data and really trying to answer that question for customers and organizations is this initiative really driving clicks or conversions from a marketing campaign? And I think it's really good at telling you ultimately what happened, but I'm ultimately curious if it's can show you why certain causes behind data and stuff of that nature. I think rather than let's tell more of this convincing story behind it and find some correlations. I think that will give marketing teams more value there at the end of the day.
Yeah, I had the same thoughts, Charles, and I'm a little suspicious of the agentic AI sort of focus here. And do we really need agentic AI to do this? And what exactly is the job it's even doing to break down the different elements that are affecting audience reaction? Like, I need to see a demo of that, I guess. But at the core, I do think this concept is compelling, right, for marketers and for people that work in the creative field. Like the idea that you could know this certain music or this certain type of shot at exactly this point, or let's get a close up of this person's face just at this time, right? And you think about all the ways that the internet has sort of boiled down exactly how we should create content to get the best reaction out of like an Instagram video or a YouTube thumbnail, etc. Right? Yeah, I think that there's more insights that could be gleaned there, and figuring out what works for your company in the right context. Like it probably is driven by a lot of these different cues, and the right talent that you get to work for you, the right construction of your storyboard, and all of this. And I feel like a lot of times that is not the focus of these marketing conversations. So the underlying idea I like, and I think that if you did it well, it could be really valuable data that marketers would want to look at.
I mean, it is more AI assisted analytics with conversational interface than it is agentic, to be honest, because I'm not sure. I agree with you, Charles. I don't know what is the automatic part of this that I want to have. I want the autonomous agent to do.
Yeah, is it just
but what I do want is better data,
dashboards,
I want better data. I agree with that part, right? And being able to have a conversation with your data, that's useful. So, but I don't.
I think it's just a great marketing grab.
It's a cool name too. I mean, CPI. Come on,
oh, that's a better acronym than AWU. I guess nobody could say that.
Yes, it is. And CPI is a whole lot easier to say than AWU.
I know.
You're setting up a future argument between marketing and the IT team, right? Like, CPI is at an all-time high, but the AWU is out of control.
Yeah, exactly.
It's inefficient.
And Anders is saying that we need new KPIs, I guess, in this economy. You probably need to change your KPIs on a daily basis. You can never have KPI, I guess. Thank you so much for joining us. Okay, so let's move to the next story, unless you guys have anything else exciting to talk about that. Finally, I mean, Brian got excited on that story, so I'm happy to see that. Okay, so here we have Intentsify. Okay, why would you put T and S together? That doesn't make any sense.
I don't know. It's really hard to say it.
Okay, so I'm simply going to say Intensify then. But I think they are in the intent business. That's why they are sort of playing with words. And that's why they have, that's why they have done and Intensify. Okay, solidifies their vision and leadership with some sort of data acquisition that they have done. This is a second strategic deal following 5x5. So again, I mean, there has been a lot of movement in general with respect to intent data. I don't know how much intent data works. Obviously, there are a lot of challenges with intent data as well. It's never that accurate. I mean, we have tried that even for our own business. Even they say that your first party data is probably going to be far better if everybody buys intent data. Generally, customers receiving a lot more calls, I guess. In our experience, that has never been as accurate. So they are talking about what salutary data is known for its rigorous data validation process. Sure. Everybody talks about that. And then, I don't know if I am seeing anything else on this story, just acquisition. I don't know if there are any sort of data elements that we need to pay attention to, how that is going to be better. I didn't see it, but if you guys notice something, then let's go.
The one thing, Sam, that I saw that could be, because one of the problems in any sort of data stream like this
Yeah.
is who is it actually, and it kind of even goes back to that old kind of discussion of, who are you on this platform versus that platform versus another platform. It's really hard to know, and it talks about identity resolution and richer account profiles. So if it does help with identity resolution, I suppose it could be useful. I mean, that is a problem. So but that was the only piece that I saw that really was like, oh yeah, okay, I get that. That would be useful.
But that is there with most platforms right now. I mean, I would not say most
Well,
platforms.
but does it
at
do
least
it better? I don't know. That was my point. Is that
Yeah.
maybe it's better. I
Yeah.
don't know.
I mean,
Yeah.
if this data helps me improve my CPI, then I'm all for it.
There you go. And not use too many AWUs.
Always got to be efficient with the AW.
Charles, any comment?
I think with this one, right, organizations, they want to improve the AI models, tools that they put out there. It all goes back to the data and the intelligence that you feed it. So I think this is just a simple acquisition to get that there and to improve the models. I think it's curious to see what outputs it puts for customers, but at the end of the day, it's another acquisition to fuel the fire, I think.
Yeah. So in short, I think what I'm getting from your comment, Charles, is you are saying that let's move on, man. Let's go to ERP.
Yeah, exactly. Can we just please?
Are we doing on?
Yeah, well, hey, listen, it's a straightforward answer. That's the way I see it
fair.
at the end of the day. So,
Okay. Do you guys want to go to the next one?
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Okay, so here we are introducing app. From Klaviyo perspective, this could be slightly exciting, I guess. I don't know how you guys feel about it, but now you have app available directly in ChatGPT. Obviously, marketers are using ChatGPT a lot, for their content creation. So you don't have to go to Klaviyo, and then you are going to have those interaction flows. But then you are going to have these apps on every single LLM and the marketplace. So I don't know which one you are going to use. Hopefully that is going to be centralized with the Klaviyo data. So I don't know. I mean, how many apps and how many platforms do you need, I guess? You guys tell me.
I mean, this plays into that OpenAI, frontier announcement, right? They now have an application platform. They're trying to move towards the enterprise. And it's a different approach than the other approach you see from like Oracle and Salesforce that you embedded in the application. So, so you've got the embed the agentic capability inside the application, or do I lay another layer across the top that provides the agent that uses the applications, but does it through kind of an RPA? Like it's a little more sophisticated than that, but basically the OpenAI platform lets the agent use the tools through a UI versus the other approach, which lets the agent use the tool through an API. And so this seems like a play to get their app into this, frontier platform that is moving in that direction. That's all I could pull out of this that seemed to make some amount of sense to me.
Yeah, I mean, they've launched the Model Context Protocol server previously, and now they're here saying, by the way, if you prefer to access Klaviyo inside of your enterprise ChatGPT environment, that's an option for you too, right? Which is just really a natural extension of having an MCP, because you could have set that up yourself, but now I guess it's readily available for you. So marketing doesn't have to ask the IT team to do it, right?
It's
so
actually
nice.
slightly different though. So
Okay.
the MCP is actually what I was saying, that it uses the application through the API. And if you embed it into that frontier platform, it's using the application inside of that other UI use case. So it's a little bit different from how does it work? It sort of seems to me like they're hedging their bet and going, we could do it either way.
Yeah, exactly. Right. They're just opening up more use cases, like
Which
whatever
is
your
not bad,
preferred.
right?
No, it's what's your preferred way to work? Do you want to be in the chat GPT interface when you're accessing this data and using it, or are you building an agent over in Frontier? I suppose that's another way to bring this in and complete a task. So it's just more options for its customers. From a strategic standpoint for Klaviyo, right? They are sort of seeding the ability to be the front of the user interface, right? The front of the client experience there, right? But maybe they didn't feel like they were strong in that element anyway.
Well, it kind of acknowledges what is already happening, and that is that in a lot of cases in the enterprise going forward, the agents are going to be that front end versus needing to use a UI. Because if you have an agent that's already connected through an API, it's using the application through the API. I'm talking to the agent. I don't actually need to use the UI anymore. So that's
Right.
actually just an acknowledgement that is happening, and it's going to happen more and more as people move
Yeah, and
towards having that across
obviously
the
you have
agent.
to be a sort of a platform play if you want to contend in let's build all your agents on our platform. We'll own that
Yeah.
interface for you. We'll orchestrate
Yep.
that for you. No, that's not going to be Klaviyo's game.
No, and I mean they're not going to build another agent force, right? That doesn't make sense for them.
No, I think from my understanding, I'm sorry to cut you off, Sam, but I think this is, until customers, organizations are really building out, their agent, whether that's agent force or whatever they may call it, right? I think right now this is a great opportunity for marketing organizations to really gather more insights, generate more ideas, rather than having this ultimately run a campaign. So, right. I think as you guys were talking about, it seems like they can have the choice to do it in GPT or wherever that may fit for their organization. But I think at the end of the day, is this going to go beyond summarizing certain things and actually help drive autonomous marketing campaigns or whatever that may be in the future for organizations? But right now, I think this is just a great way to just expand on some ideas rather than just run autonomously at the moment.
Yeah, so some very interesting points here, and we have a comment, and I think I had some questions related to this comment as well. And I don't know if you guys are using any sort of apps on ChatGPT at this point of time. I like the comparison between your iPhone and ChatGPT. You use ChatGPT a lot, but I don't know if I have ever used a single app on ChatGPT. And if I will be using any time on ChatGPT, so I don't know if it has the same application as what a phone would have. And again, how many phones can you really have, I guess?
Well, but it is so there was a when we went to the Zoho event recently, they're starting to talk about an apps OS and this concept that everything kind of operates inside of an environment like inside your iPhone, right? Everything just sort of works together. It's already integrated. So I think in some ways it is a little like that, right? So if I'm using ChatGPT and I can do other things from it, and I mean, not just ChatGPT, but Claude, right? Claude had access to Canva. So now I could use Canva through Claude versus going to Canva. That could be useful. I mean, I have Claude produce Word docs for me and I don't go to Word to do it. I just do it inside of Canva and then I read the doc to do whatever it is I need to do with it. I don't think that's wrong. I mean, I think that is going to be more convenient. I think Leonard's right. It is much more convenient that way. Now, what's the iPhone for each business? That's another question.
Yeah, great points, guys. All right, so that's it for this comment. We have one more. So Andres is saying the two modes are probably to satisfy the different flavors of data paranoia. And then Corp 1 will scream for security. No API ever. Corp 2 will scream for security. API only. Yeah.
True.
Yeah. Any other comments on that, guys? If not, we'll move to the next story.
It's a great point, actually, Anders. So, like, how does your team prefer to architect things? And you're getting more choice, more ways to execute here.
Yeah, and that is going to be a part of that choice, right? I have to pick which one I'm going to play, or maybe I'm going to use both, and just in different situations.
Yeah. All right, guys. If we don't have anything else, we can move to the next one. So here, all right, ERP story. Okay, I'm awake now.
I just thought the answer to this is by Gupta ERP. I don't know.
I know. Okay, so these guys are introducing Growth Studio. Okay. And again, I mean, even for this one, I guess, I mean, how many different growth studios do you need? So a new AI first growth automation platform. That's what they are doing. Obviously, Unanet is very much into GovCon space, and Michael, I think you are passionate about that.
I'm not sure passion's the right word, but I do know
talk about that. I read that as a passion, man.
Okay, if you want to call it that, I'm there. I'm good for that.
All right, so here, obviously, I mean, they are talking about government shutdown disruptions. I don't know if anybody can protect from that.
Maybe they're going to come up with a way to predict it. That'd be useful.
I'm not too sure about whether you can really predict this. Okay, this is very unpredictable. Nobody can predict. Okay. So here they are talking about the full life cycle of the opportunity identification. I think this is the bread and butter for Deltek. They always have
It's
that.
GovWin, right? You're GovWin, and the only difference is that GovWin has a whole lot of external data that's really useful, and this seems to be focused on the data you already have, making it more useful, which is not the same thing. But
yeah, and I don't know how much Unanet is going to have, because I don't think they have as much data. And again, that's not their bread and butter. But I guess for GovCon space, obviously that's a big deal. So hopefully, so they are trying to unify that, and maybe this is a very similar positioning as Deltek, I guess, what Deltek had announced.
It sounds competitive to them,
AI, right?
Yeah, it sounds competitive. I think, the thing you have to remember is GovWin was an acquisition that Deltek made years ago, and it already had all this connectivity into the government contracting system to pull all those opportunities out, creates a network among the different contractors so they can connect and work together, find different primes. I mean, it's a very complex thing, and it works well, and it even has analysts that sit there to help evaluate those different opportunities. So it does seem like it's competitive to that, but how competitive, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Charles, you have a comment?
Yeah. So, right. I think we look at the government contracting space, right? It's very much outside of what you guys are saying, compare as a Deltek compete, right? You think about it, it's very much a paperwork heavy, rules heavy business that you're in. And really, if AI is going to provide any value, it's really where teams spend time writing, same proposal languages, compliance checklists, and something like that. So I think about the realities of it as how quickly these government contractors are willing to adopt these type of solutions. They, by nature, move quite slow. Think about it, for a reason, risk and compliance factors. So my question is whether this actually becomes an operational tool for their customers at the moment. So I think that's big, and I really need to dive deeper into Unanet and figure out.
Yeah. It is a competitive thing with Deltek, and a lot of government contractors use GovWin. That it is a very, very commonly used system.
Sure.
And this, there are some things here like, it helps you prepare your proposals better. Yeah, because believe me, those are a real pain. They're very specific about the things you have to do and all the different pieces. And so, I could see some value there. But as far as like helping you identify opportunities, GovWin is by far the standard in that space.
So the implication that I'm following is that, hey, the federal budget, the federal government's budget is tighter. There's not a lot of money out there for new contracts, but you're a contractor trying to get government contracts. So our AI solution will make it so you can do that more efficiently, not hire additional headcount here, it says, to just try to make these bids and win them. Like, is the idea that I'll spend less on trying to win government contracts, and therefore I can charge less to the government to position myself as
I doubt that second part comes into play. The first part, yes. The second part, no.
Yeah, because if they're talking like this whole language about, there's budget constraints in the federal government, but here I'm the contractor that's trying to charge them the money. So I want those contracts to be as big as possible, really. So it's just a bit of a funny, the way they're positioning the value proposition.
Yeah, that's fair. And honestly, there's still a whole lot of money available for government contractors. So we may have had Doge and all this reduction, but there's not that much reduction. Let's be honest. There's more spend now than there was before.
Well, yeah. Still a multi-billion-dollar market out there
I'd add a T there instead of a B.
You are saying there is money there? Did I hear money?
There is money there, Sam. I've heard that anyway. I don't know it for sure.
Right, but
I don't find money
in comparison to past years, right? There is pain here because there's a reduction of 7% in the cybersecurity spending across federal agencies. The way that they're running money out of the Treasury for these digital transformation projects is that there's no new money to be awarded to the departments as there was in past years. You have to find it in your own budget out of basically other areas of budget that you didn't use, right? So it's a little bit harder to find the money than it used to be. Not that it's not a huge market still, but
great points, guys. Sorry, Charles, go.
No, I was just saying, you can bring up a funny point is that I have a friend, a colleague of mine back home in New Jersey, whose older brother is a practicing doctor. He got a contract out in Michigan working on veterans, and yeah, it's funny to say that because there seems to be a bunch of opportunities out there to get contracts still, regardless of the initiative. I was just a funny note there, but yeah, my apologies, Sam.
It's very interesting. Thank you so much for sharing that. The only other point I would make on your comment, I guess, is you guys might be underestimating how much effort is required with the DCAA compliance is probably the name in the GovCon space. And for that, the kind of reporting that you are going to require, it's not just a fancy proposal that you are going to send. It's also tracking that you have to do throughout the project life cycle, and that gets very intertwined. It's almost like financial reporting. The reason why ERP systems exist is because that particular reporting is obviously very intertwined, very complex. That's why we have these systems, and all of these regulatory bodies, including federal, state, they have very different requirements, and that gets very, very, very complex. So that's their secret sauce. They are not talking about that right now.
Yeah. No, but that is, in Deltek too, and NetSuite too, right? That's the downstream reporting back once you have the contract is way more onerous than you'd imagine. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. All right, guys, if you guys don't have anything else, let's go to the next one. So one more ERP story. In this particular case, this is Aptean. That's why I'm so pumped to talk about this one. You guys can see the energy right now. Feel it, right?
I could feel it as soon as you brought that up, Sam.
Okay, so here, and again, my energy goes down like this as soon as I read App Central or, another control tower, I guess. And this is like, okay, probably the 10th one that I have done today itself. So they are launching App Central, transforming. Obviously, everybody's transforming. So what's new there? AI-driven real-time routing and scheduling for logistics team. So I guess from my perspective, when I look at Aptean, obviously they are very deep into food and beverage, verticals. Process manufacturing is their bread and butter. They have acquired a lot of different platforms. I think they have done Logility, and they are trying to build the whole supply chain suite. And in that, this fits right in, I guess. This is probably going to complete their offering from the supply chain suite perspective. Aptean, probably they acquired like 30 companies a year, even in this economy, right? So that's what they have done here. In this particular acquisition that they have, or the offering that they have introduced, my understanding is that it's saying purpose built for fleets, drivers, and logistics teams. So that's where they are getting that 360 view and obviously routing and scheduling. That's what they are trying to do from this. So again, very TMS centric offering, and that's what they are trying to complete. So which I find compelling. You need to have that. A lot of their competitors already have this.
It does seem like a good opportunity for automation. You're the supply chain software expert, not me, but just when I read the use case, I went, that does make sense from an AI perspective that you would want to use it for routing and scheduling. So
I think my only problem with Aptean is that, like you said, Sam, they've gone under a large acquisition spree over the past couple of years, which is great, but there's also a flip side to that as well. They recently acquired the company called Opsvita. More of like an AI orchestration tool, very big with Logility. I think this kind of stems from their 3T Logistics acquisition. All this stuff, it sounds great. At the end of the day, I'm very curious how they're organizing this, how they're putting that on the roadmap, how they're working on the integration, whether that's technology, the people bringing them onto Aptean. So I think in general, Aptean's got a lot going on right now. And I think it's hard for customers really to synthesize what's going on. I have a colleague on my team who's actually working on, getting a consolidated report of their acquisitions. Yeah. But in theory, this is great, right? I think having the ability to leverage AI for routing, there's a ton of benefits there. You can reduce transportation costs, whatever that may be. What are the benefits customers can get from that? It's great. I think at the end of the day, our customers, Aptean customers up to standard, up to par, to able to leverage this type of tool. And so I think that's my big issue right now. It's Aptean is kind of creating some sort of roadmap to the crazy noise that they've been producing, which is great. I just think there's a flip side to everything. So that's my biggest concern here with Aptean, is that there's almost too much going on, and their hands are in so many baskets, which is great, but is that sustainable in the long term?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even just integrating a whole bunch of acquisitions.
Oh my God, that's
So let's talk about sustainability a little bit, I guess, from their perspective. I don't know whether you guys have heard a company called Constellation Software.
I have.
Constellation Software is
They're one of the best acquirers in the
one of the hottest company for Wall Street because they make money, guys. Okay,
They
that's what
do.
matters on Wall Street. Nobody cares, how beautiful or pretty or how
Yep.
adaptable your software is. The only thing that matters on Wall Street is who is making money, and
Yeah.
this strategy makes money. That's what Aptean is doing. They are not
Yeah.
naive, and that the whole
Yes.
idea of Aptean like company. I mean, for the most part, if you look at companies like Infor, Apicor used to be a developer,
Yeah.
but now they are primarily acquirer, I would say. ECI Software Solutions, okay, primarily acquirer, okay. The new company born in 2022, software, ERP software company, can you believe this? The whole world is moving towards AI native. Nobody even knows, whether software is going to die or survive, okay. 2022, a company is created called Objectiv. And there is no strategy. The only strategy that they have is acquire these companies, put them in a portfolio, and win using support dollars, zero R&D. Nobody's going to write the code. Just acquire as many as possible and put
That's
them
kind of
in
a private equity play in a
Well,
way, right?
I mean, Aptean's backed by like 2 or 3 PE companies. So yeah, I completely agree. It's a great way for growth in general. But at the end of the day, like you mentioned Infor, Epicor, that it took them time to get all of that integrated. And who's to say there's still not issues with that in general? So, yeah, I think from your perspective, you are completely accurate, Sam. But I'm just curious to see where the customers are currently at for Aptean.
So these two perspectives are always, too different. When you look at this more from the investor perspective, it's very different than buyers.
Yeah,
buyers are going to get very different things, right? And this is the problem in general with the software world. People don't sort of know what they are getting into. It's very easy to sell something that is going to be Frankenstein, but make it look pretty, right? And then probably you are going to use and you are probably going to know. But even then, a lot of people don't know what they are really using it. We have some comments here. We can take those, or you guys can keep going on this story. Just 1 second. So I feel it. Jordan is saying, okay, great. I don't know.
He feels the excitement that you felt, I think, there, Sam.
Exactly.
Okay. And does this product have the computing power for a company size like DHL? And I don't know which company you are talking about, Jordan. Do you guys remember?
He could be making a joke towards the Aptean product.
Yeah, that's fair. If it's DHL, that would.
That's where I'm thinking that's.
Yeah, it's probably right.
I'm not even sure if that is their target market, to be completely honest. I mean, DHL.
Jordan Van Leeuwen seems like a character, so it's curious to see what he does. I'm curious to see if he is a DHL employee. He might be, but
yeah, you never know. I mean,
you never know.
AI agents here that might be commenting.
It might be an AI agent. You don't know.
But as long as we are getting algorithm boost, I don't necessarily care.
He's calling me out here too. Okay, this is interesting.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay, basket sustainability, I guess. I mean, you have a buzzword there, I guess. Okay, he's talking about Aptean.
Oh, yeah, Aptean,
yeah. Okay, no. This is a serious question, guys. All right, I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
All right. Okay, I don't know if you guys want to do one more story. It's getting very hard, guys.
Just quickly, good work with the Toronto connection there, Sam, working in Constellation as the.
That was pretty good.
You know why we got the pitch for Constellation. Otherwise, why would I talk about Constellation? You know this, exactly. How this works. Yeah.
Well done.
It's a good plug. Yeah.
Yeah, anything from Toronto, right, is probably going to have a plug here. Okay, so Cognizant and Uniphore, they are partnering to deliver smarter. Okay, who's not partnering for anything smarter, I guess? Here we are talking about domain-specific AI for the enterprise. I can see some value here. And we have seen similar arrangements, but I don't know, Uniphore, do you guys know what they do?
I'm not really too familiar with them, but I think at the end of the day, we have seen a lot of this happen where organizations are partnering, whether it's the KPMGs, Accentures of the world, to really build out these either industry-specific AI tools. I think it's great to get their name out there and really to get their business, up and running and whatnot. But I think at the end of the day, it's if customers are actually able to come along. And it's mentioned, I think it's around this life sciences, banking, and capital markets. So and they're emphasizing using like small language models and whatnot. Yeah. So I'm not really too familiar with who Uniphore is. It sounds a little bit too similar to Uniphore, the ERP vendor. So
I don't think
it's
an
AI
comparison.
platform.
Yeah,
it's an AI platform.
Okay.
Yeah, that's all. It's an AI platform, and they're just talking about using this to build out very specific AI applications in a vertical approach.
So, Michael, would you compare that with maybe Pipedrive? Is that a fair comparison, or no?
I was trying to think of a good example. There's a I can't remember. There's another AI platform company in Europe that's very similar, but I can't think of the name of it right now. Data Haiku. They're similar to Data Haiku.
I was actually talking to an individual earlier about Data Haiku. Okay, no, I mean that makes sense. More along the lines of that. So if customers are leveraging that, I think it's a great way to dive deeper into industry-specific capabilities and be more broad. So
And using small language models is definitely going to be a big trend this year. Small and mid-sized models, using very specific models trained for that specific application and in a vertical way, makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I don't know that much about them in this situation, but that seems like a reasonable way. That is where the market seems to be moving.
Yeah, we identified AI-specific or domain-specific AI models as a tech trend a couple of years ago, and I think that trend has just continued. And the way they're executing this, I think, aligns well with why you'd want to focus on domain-specific models, right? You have the small language models, right? They highlight that as opposed to always using an LLM. There's benefits there because you can run those locally, so that's potentially better security and better inference time, right? Doesn't cost as much to compute it. So there's latency, there's security benefits, potentially cost benefits if you can run this locally as well. And then, of course, the big value is the domain expertise, right? And we're going to see this across the AI industry next. Just a lot of different focus on verticals and who can own not just like the big foundation models that we all love to use for anything and everything, but who's going to dive into the health sciences space or the manufacturing space, and one vertical after the next is the next area for this market to offer some specification.
Yeah, very interesting development, guys, and I hope we are going to find more stories like this. I don't know if you guys have any more comments on the story. No? Really. Okay, then we can probably wrap. We just have 3 minutes right now. So I don't know if you guys are going to have any sort of closing thoughts, or if you guys have anything exciting going on. I guess we'll do it in Robert way. He always likes to talk about something exciting. You guys are heading to the weekend. I don't know if you guys have any sort of plans. We can talk about that. Brian, do you want to go first?
I just am very distracted because a deer came into my backyard, and I'm just like half watching it through my window right now.
Nice.
You don't have an AI agent right now to shoo them away?
I don't want to shoot them. Come on in. Come visit my backyard. I've been waiting for this deer, so I welcome it. So nothing else to add, but I'll try and take some photos and post them to Blue Sky.
He's just waiting for that, I guess. Charles, do you want to go next?
Yeah, for me, it's going to continue to keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on in the world. I think that's always going to have, especially last weekend and early this week, so always has an effect on supply chain. So that's kind of my day-to-day life. So keeping my ears close to that. Staying active, playing tennis, and I think I'm going to spend some time demystifying who this Jordan Van Leenen character is, because I think he brought some distractions to the call today. Let's
in a good way. In a good way.
DHL that's my weekend, and just always a pleasure joining and looking to always provide some sort of value here. So thank you for having me, Sam, and great conversations today.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here, Charles. And we have one comment, Michael, before you go. Let's
we
cover this one. So I can confidently say that companies are well established, tend to focus on compliance and security when implementing AI models. Do you find that these AI offerings are also focusing on security? Michael, I think you have problems with MCP security, I guess. I mean, I have
Well,
heard you
no,
say
I
that
mean,
before, right?
security, governance. I mean, all these topics are hot this year. There's no question.
Yeah.
But if you're, from a model company perspective, there
Mhm.
is a lot of conversation around security, but it depends on how you implement it in the enterprise, how that actually is going to play out. But it is important, and I mean, governance is the same kind of thing, right? We have to build it into the platforms as we start to roll this out across the enterprise. So.
Yeah. So some more comments from Leonard as well. Leonard is asking
Up to
for a
Gartner.
Gartner event. I don't know if anybody's going.
Nope.
No,
Okay,
we
you
don't
like
go to
going there, I
Gartner
guess.
events. Come on.
That's a weird question, I guess, to ask.
Well, I think he was maybe asking the audience, not us. But
Yeah, maybe.
that's
Yeah, you never know. Yeah.
If anyone's going, hit up Leonard. He's a great guy.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
He is a great guy.
So I think he's
Oh,
joking
this-
about Jordan is joking about this. That's the AI bot. I think he's talking about you,
maybe.
Okay, Michael, you go. Okay.
Okay. No, this weekend, honestly, I'm going to work most of the weekend because next week I'm headed down to Atlanta for an event called IRL. It's put on by the CRM players. It's a really fun industry event with a lot of analysts, a lot of vendor folks showing up, a lot of end users. So looking forward to that one next week and seeing all my friends.
Yeah, amazing. Thank you so much for being here, Michael. And Brian, you know the rules, right? We have to end something with Toronto. So I'm going to talk about the Blue Jays. I mean, right now, spring training, that does not look very good. I don't know if that is, and I don't know if they are going to be similar to the Maple Leafs this year. There is a possibility. But right now, looking at spring training, it doesn't look very good. So hopefully the season is not going to be similar.
Scherzer's back. That's something to be excited about.
Yeah.
With his veteran leadership, the bullpen and pitching rotation's going to be really strong. So
Yeah,
it'll be a good defensive team.
Hopefully. All right, guys. So that's a wrap. If you joined for the first time, this was Analysts Gone Wild. We meet every Friday, 1 p.m. Eastern. I'll see you next week.
Take care, guys. Have a great day.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the WBS Podcast. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. For more information on growth strategies for SMBs using ERP and digital transformation, check out our community at WBS.rocks. We'll see you next time.